Hey everybody, I have Kate Lombardo here with me from YogaRenew. Kate, hello!
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here.
It's so nice to have you. I'm absolutely thrilled. Are you in New
Mhm.
York?
I am. So I live in, well, New York-ish. I'm in New Jersey. I live in Hoboken, New Jersey, which is like directly on the other side of the Hudson River from Midtown Manhattan.
Okay.
So I actually get the view of the city skyline from
Oh,
this side, which is really cool and special.
oh, that's so cool. Well, I am so excited to have you. I actually know you, just so you know, I know who you are because I have been a student of YogaRenew.
Oh,
I
well, thank you.
Yeah, I did a 200 hour with Yoga Fit and I did a
Okay.
200 hour with Yoga Renew and I
Um,
purchased but haven't completed my yin.
Oh, that one is with me, is just with me. So
I know.
we'll be with each other even more
I
once you
know.
dive
That's
in.
why I feel like a little bit like I know you and it's giving me actually some like weird perspective and empathy because I am like that in people's lives too, where, well, people even feel like they know me just from the podcast. Like
Totally. Oh,
know
I'm
me
sure.
very, very, very well.
Yes.
And like we've
Yes.
not met. So I feel
Yeah.
like I kind of know you and know your vibe and everything. So anyway, you're meeting me for the first time.
Yes, which is exciting. It's always so much fun too when we get to talk. And I've taught yoga for so many years, and for so long it was in-person stuff. So I really got to know every single student. And then shifting into the online space, we get to know as many as we can, but it is that weird thing where sometimes we have like people who will come from the online training and they'll come to our studio and they walk in and they're like, "Oh my gosh." And I'm like, "Hi, what's your name?"
I know. And they're like, I love you.
It's so sweet.
So sweet. Such a gift.
Such a gift.
Speaking of
Yeah.
the online space, I really think that Yoga Renew was ahead of the curve with the online presence for yoga because
Yeah.
that was actually my impediment to finishing my 200 hour originally is I started with Yoga Fit and Yoga Fit's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Totally.
Awesome, 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 like no shade.
Yes.
But I just couldn't get to the trainings.
Yeah.
I couldn't get to them like,
Yep.
you know, and
It's hard
so it took me so many years to
to
finally finish
get.
with them. And I actually only could finish with them because they finally, and it was only because of the pandemic that,
Yeah.
but the online learning is so good. And what I loved about Yoga Renew, and I know we're like not even on topic yet.
No, that's totally fine.
I just loved that the materials that we learn through the 200-hour yoga teacher training course I had available to me forever, evergreen for
Thank
reference.
you.
Because I would
Yeah.
like go to my, again, amazing education.
Totally.
I'm learning so only like, 20% of it sticks.
Of
And
course.
then, like
And
the
then you can't
thing,
revisit it once you actually
I'm like,
start doing
yeah,
the thing.
yeah, like where'd it go? I want, yes.
Yeah.
So I just love that. I feel like it's so practical and so
Thank
effective.
you.
Rather than less than, I thought it was in so
Thank
many
you.
ways more than. So kudos to what.
I That means so much to me. Thank you for saying that because I think, it's an interesting thing to transition from in-person to online. And we also still do have in-person trainings at our studio, but really doing our best to make it accessible to people to and there's I think there's pluses and minuses to both, right? There's certain things that we can't do online. It's harder to teach like hands-on assist because assumingly like someone doesn't have like a group of people if they're doing it online to do it. But then there's other things like anatomy, sequencing that exactly what you're saying. It's like I did mine in person. And then if I wanted to revisit that material once I started teaching, there was just not, then you have to jump into another training to do it again. So I think the combo of the two is like a really unique and special thing. So I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
And I do want to talk more about Yoga Renew before. Oh, by the way, audience, we're doing a two-parter. Kate, so put your seatbelts on. You're gonna 2 weeks in a row of me and
Yay.
So today we're going to be talking about the art of the pivot and
Yes.
how changing courses is the key to success in entrepreneurship. So that's what we're going to talk about first in part
Yeah.
one. But before we do, I do want you to kind of tell us who you are, how you got into group fitness and how you got into yoga and what your role is with Yoga Renew and
Yeah.
that jazz. So bring us up to speed on who you are.
All right. So my name is first name Kate, last name Lombardo. Sometimes when I say it together, people think my name is Caitlin Bardo. So so Kate and then last name is Lombardo. I am the yoga director of YogaRenew. I'm an ERYT 500-hour yoga teacher and the lead trainer there, along with my business partner, Patrick. We have been business partners for almost a decade now. And I started off just teaching like just group yoga classes, like kind of solopreneur, doing the whole like running from gyms to studios, 11, 12 classes per week, private clients. And then after a period of time, Patrick and I shifted and opened up our own yoga studios. We ended up having two of them in Hoboken, New Jersey. Things were going awesome. Our second one opened October of 2019. We were profitable by January of 2020. And
Oh
then
my gosh.
and then March of
I feel this.
2020,
I feel this in my
feeling it
soul.
coming. And the crazy part, so Hoboken was actually the first city in the United States to close down. We closed down like 48 hours before Manhattan did. It's actually like, so we're a square mile city with like 65,000 people in 1 square mile. So it's super densely populated. And yeah, like 2 days before anybody else closed down or the day before everyone else closed down, they like police came in and like, you have to close. And so our yoga studios closed and we navigated sort of that whole thing when we talk about this pivoting thing. That's obviously like a big piece of our story. And we were fortunate enough that Patrick and I had I was very passionate about online learning, really passionate about business and entrepreneurship, like side by side with group fitness. And so a lot of the education that I have in that space, I did through just like self education and taking different courses and things like that. So we had actually put out our first digital course in 2019. So we knew like how to get online, which was a real benefit to us when COVID started. And so we were like, okay, let's just do it. We're just going to go all in being online and not really try to wait out. And just kind of saw the writing on the wall that like it was going to be a long time until things shifted back to quote unquote normal, where we're going to be able to be packed in like a New York City vibe of a yoga studio. Um, Sorry, I don't know what that background noise is. I got
I,
like a sec.
I
Can you hear
didn't
that?
I didn't hear it, but the audience is used
Okay, if
to
they do,
animals, chaos,
I'm
kids.
okay.
I know your kids
I
might
am in
come
a city
home.
area, so I have like someone with really loud music driving past. So,
I hear it here.
anyway, so we were like, the chances of us getting back to that in studio thing soon is not going to be high. So we decided to go all in and going online, and kind of side by side to that, our other partner in YogaRenew, Nick, they had been up and running. But at that time, Yoga Alliance was not allowing online yoga programs to
That's,
be certified.
that's right.
And so their program wasn't a Yoga Alliance certified program. They were just kind of like doing a certification for yoga teachers, still 200 hours,
Yeah.
but just all of those accreditations with Yoga Alliance weren't yet there. And then when that was allowed, he was like, I need ERYT 500-hour teachers. And we, through the universe, working in the most mysterious ways, connected and basically joined forces. So we brought our entire studio team of our like New Jersey and New York City teachers, who were all mostly ERYT or RYT 500-hour teachers, combined forces with YogaRenew as it was at the time. And our staff took over the programming. Patrick and I redid the kind of program to really fit our style and the Yoga Alliance certifications. And since that time, we've now, I think there was a 200 and 300-hour available at that time. And now we've got both of those fully Yoga Alliance certified. We have yin, restorative, children's, prenatal. Oh my goodness. Yoga retreats. Patrick and I have like a special vinyasa sequencing lab one. We've got an online streaming app. So, really, the combination of that has just allowed us to grow in a really special and unique way. So, yeah, that's kind of, I guess, like the shortened version of
No,
where
that's
we are now.
incredible. The audience already has heard me talk ad nauseum about this, but you don't know this about me, so they can
Okay.
just deal. They can just deal. I was living a parallel life with you in so many ways because I started my fitness business, this Warrior Instructor Academy,
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
first program, which is yoga inspired, in January of
Oh
2020.
my goodness. Oh,
So,
so
so
you get it more
I
than
get it anyway. I get it, but they already know that about me. But I just feel, but I love how much, just from sort of an outside and sort of an inside vantage point, personally,
yeah.
Yoga Renew both. Um, I have seen it evolve and grow. Like I
Yeah.
swear, every time I logged in, there was like new
New stuff.
more, new more, new more, better, new more,
Yeah. Thank
better.
you. Well, it's so important to us because I think so often people put out in the online space like a product that they feel like, okay, I did this and now it's done and I move on and like we move on. But for our 200 and 300 hour training, like Patrick and I are still students of yoga ourselves, you know? And I feel like every time we start to evolve and learn some new things, it's like, how can we make the program better? And that's important to us to not just like leave something in the online space and then walk away and never look at it again. And so it really is in a way like a living breathing document that we want people to be able to have access to updated information as it becomes available. So that's important.
Well, since we're talking about, how did you become the director? Was it always, was that from day one?
That was from day one.
Oh, okay.
Just
Okay.
jumped in right
Because you have
day
an
one, you know.
appetite for entrepreneurship, not just teaching.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I understand you. We were
I
friends.
do.
We're friends. You just hadn't met me until today.
Yes, I know, but I feel like we totally, yeah, the business side, you know
But
why,
what?
truly, and I know we're going to talk about this spoiler in our part two, but like to
Yeah.
do this for a long time and not totally burn out, like you just have to treat it like a business too. And I think that like I saw that so early that like if I wasn't going to do the entrepreneurship side by side, then there's no sustainability, I think, in this career for the very, very long term. So they go hand in hand for me.
A couple things about, before we talk about adapting and pivoting and
Yeah.
changing, about Yoga Renew, just for people that, because our audience is amazing, but they're
Yeah.
generally Group X, so not all
Yeah.
yogis.
Mhm.
I definitely feel like Renew is a perfect place for someone that might want to get
Yeah.
into yoga that isn't at all like you don't have to come
Totally.
ready. You don't have to clean your house for the cleaning lady, which I do
No.
every other Friday. Like, just kidding. So I feel like I mean, just tell us a little bit about how,
Yeah.
if someone were interested in yoga at all, like
Yeah.
what it would be.
Be a good choice.
Mhm.
So I think the first thing is that there's no prerequisite for joining part one. And there's also no like set standard for what your goal has to be when you complete it. Like we have people who are group fitness instructors that are like, I don't know if I'm ever going to really want to teach yoga, but maybe I want to be able to have some knowledge of yoga to add for the cool down part of my group fitness class or as a balance for something, or if they take on private clients, right? And just to round out the offerings, not necessarily to be like the only thing I'm going to do is to be a yoga teacher, or just for their own individual learning. And we have, I mean, I would say, I don't know if I'd say more than half, but like a very large portion of our students don't necessarily think that they ever want to teach, but they're just passionate about continuing to learn for themselves.
Yeah.
And so that part of it is, I mean, of course, the program teaches you how to be a teacher as well, but there's so much in there to just help you advance your own knowledge and understanding of yoga. And the nice part about it is because the program is self paced, the
Mhm.
majority of the program is pre recorded.
Mhm.
You can have like a month sabbatical and be like, I'm going to do this in a month, or you can be like, I'm going to do this for 1 hour a week and it's going to take me 200 hours is going to take me 4 years. I mean, most people don't take 4 years, but it really does give you a wide range of schedules to complete your training on. And I think it can be fit into any type of lifestyle, as opposed to, like you were saying, it's hard sometimes to find the time. I mean, 200 hours of training as a first layer of training. Like I, way back when, was going to like be a Zumba instructor and I looked into other things and I'd never seen any of them that required that many hours. And that can be off putting for people. Like who's like, oh, I have an extra 200 hours in my, in my life to just go and commit to somewhere. And I think being able to fit it in when you can is really ideal.
And how much have you guys, everywhere, all over the world now, right? I mean,
We
like,
are. We're so fortunate. And that's a cool thing too, because we have live Zoom calls multiple times a day, because that's part of the new updated standards for Yoga Alliance is 30 hours has to be in a face-to-face, like via Zoom live interaction. But we're so lucky to bring people together from Australia and New Zealand, all parts of Europe, South America,
mm,
and then all across the US and Canada. So it's also a really cool space for our community to be in, because as you get to know other students,
mm.
it's really neat to be able to see like what are things like at various parts in the world. Makes you realize the world is smaller than sometimes it feels.
Okay, so aside from you having to close the two physical
Yeah.
studios because of the pandemic, that making a major pivot, which was such a actually fortuitous for you because
Yes,
but
it
for that,
was.
you wouldn't have been
Totally.
forced
Yeah.
down this avenue
Yeah.
that has been such a blessing. What have there been other times, or is that like the main one that you've experienced?
Yeah, no, I think I mean, so for me in life in general, I didn't start out down this path. I initially graduated in college, planned to be an actress and had moved to New York City to like go that route.
Yeah.
And 5 months after being there, this always sounds so dramatic, but my lung collapsed like randomly, which was really crazy. Um, and that definitely turned my life, like flipped the whole thing upside down where it was because I'm aging myself now, but pre-Affordable Care Act. So I had like just graduated from college. I didn't have health insurance yet. And I was suddenly like student loan bills, crazy medical debt, and had to leave New York. And I was like, what am I going to do? So I became a high school teacher. I was like, I'll just go back to school because that felt comfortable. And I did that. So that was like a pivot. And then I did that for 5 years, and it wasn't really bringing me the level of joy that I knew that I wanted forever. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I think it's too important of a job to do if you don't like really, really love it. And I left that with no plan other than the fact that I was going to go all in on teaching yoga. And I think to go from that space over the last decade to where I am now, the whole journey has really been pivoting. Like, I think I've launched coaching businesses where I was like, I'm going to do yoga and one on one life coaching, and like fully launched a full business website, all the money. And then realized after two clients, I was like, oh, I actually don't love this at all. Like one on one life coaching, business coaching, I now really like, but one to one life coaching was not for me. And I feel like when we talk about this idea of pivoting, that could have been deemed a failure, right? Like this idea of like, oh, that business failed, but rather, I think the best thing that I've learned is to say, like, nope, I don't like this, and like cut it off, cut it loose, move to the next thing. Because if you get stuck in the idea of it being like, oh, I have failed,
Yeah.
then you never change course. And really doing this and the success in it just comes from being like, oh, this isn't working. Let's try something else. And I think it's those over and over those decisions of pivoting and being willing to change and thinking of stuff not working as an opportunity to try something new that has been key to the success that I now feel like I've been able to find.
So do you feel like if an instructor feels like they have fumbled, they're
Yeah.
failing, or
Yeah.
they're not having enjoyment, like at what point would you say it's time to like redirect, it's time
Reset.
to let go? Like is it just a mindset shift or
I think for me, it always comes down to if you in the group fitness space, right? Like we do this because we love it. Like I don't think anyone is like, I want to be a billionaire, so I'm going to become a fitness instructor, right? Like the motivation is that you want to help people, that you're passionate about what you do. And the moment it stops being about that, I think there's something that needs to get looked at and examined. Like the moment that you're waking up and feeling like this feels off, whether that's the place that you're teaching doesn't feel like the right fit, whether it's the style that you're doing, whether you're just burnt out. And I don't know that that means that you have to throw everything away and totally like uproot the whole thing. Sometimes it does, but it could also just be like, okay, let me take a day to evaluate like what part of my business, what part of my life right now feels sticky or am I putting up resistance to, as opposed to feeling a sense of freedom? For me, it's always like,
Mm.
where do I feel free and excited? And if my body feels like spacious and free in that, then I'm like, okay, this is the right thing, the right space to go next. Does that make, I don't know if that makes
It
sense or
totally
answers
does, but
the
it
question.
also does take self-awareness, which yoga
Totally.
teaches.
Yes.
You can be in tune with yourself.
Yes. It's true. I do. There is a level of being willing to sit in the discomfort a little bit also,
Yeah,
and because I'll be
or
honest, when
giving something a little bit of time.
totally, when our studios closed, I'm not going to say that this is like an easy thing to do. I mean, there was a point in July of 2020, we got word in New Jersey that they were going to allow gyms and fitness studios, which I guess yoga studios were a part of, that could be open at like 30% capacity, or I forget exactly what it was, but you could like reopen a little bit. And Patrick and I at that time, we were like, this like doesn't feel right. Like in no way does this feel like,
Oh, so
oh, this is going to be fun.
you didn't reopen them.
We did for
Oh,
we went against, that's what I was just gonna say. We went
oh,
against what we were thinking. Like our gut check at that time was like,
oh.
stay the course of being online. Like, but we were like, everybody else is opening. Is it going to be bad if we don't open? And so we were like, we'll just do it. We'll try it. And we were totally right. Like, we tried for 3 weeks and we had like 3 people in a class. It felt super weird. It wasn't the vibe that we had created. We were miserable.
Yes.
Students felt weird about it. And we were like, you know what? We're not going to keep doing this. And so we closed again and just put out word that like maybe one day we would try to reopen when things felt normal, but we created a studio to be a community experience where we could all be together, and it just wasn't working for us. And so I'm not saying that I've always been good at listening. Like, I went against my instinct at that time. Eventually, but that's the whole thing. Then I course corrected, right? And I think that's the idea of this pivot, is like, you're not stuck with a decision whether you say yes or no. At that time, we were like, okay, we'll do it. Everyone's doing it. Everybody still was, and everyone stayed open. And a month in, we were like, this just doesn't feel right. And so we course corrected. And that's kind of ultimately at the exact time that we connected with YogaRenew and everything shifted. And I think it came from knowing like this isn't the right path for us. Now, it was scary because at the time we didn't know. I didn't know that we would be where we are now. If you had told me that, I would have told you you were crazy, actually. But I think the act of learning to listen to what feels right and what feels like the right kind of thing to be making a change is key to finding that success.
Yeah. And I think the more you have the opportunity to make scary changes in your life
Mhm.
and trust your gut, even though sometimes it's off, sometimes
Yeah.
we don't always make the right decisions.
Yeah.
I do think that that is a muscle that grows and it gets
Yes.
easier to have confidence in yourself when making them.
Totally.
So,
And I think I agree with you. And I also think it teaches you that just because it feels right and just because you do make the change, it doesn't mean that it's going to be like without any type of resistance along the way, right? Like, there is still sometimes stuff that you have to work through. Like, we made a shift. Another one that comes up for me, the structure of our 200-hour course, at one time, the way that it was set up, people could jump around the course in whichever way they wanted to and do it in whatever order.
yeah, when I went through, it was forced, which I liked.
Yes,
So,
which so we made a change because it
uh-huh,
wasn't always that way. When we
okay,
first kind of joined forces
I
before
liked
Patrick
that.
and I got involved, you could jump around. And what was happening is we were getting so many questions from students where they were very confused about things. And
Yeah,
I'm like, they're confused because they're not,
yeah.
because they're out of order. They have
So,
like, there's no like structure for that. And we knew that like we have a certification program. We're training people to literally like stand on their heads. Like, they need to know
yeah,
how to do this efficiently and correctly. And there was some tech stuff with like the platform that we use that was kind of forcing us to do this as well. But we made the change because we knew that it was the right thing, but we did it, and I stand by it, and I feel like it was the right choice. And so many people are like, this has been so much easier for me to learn now. But there was a lot of pushback at
yeah.
first. Like, it wasn't like an easy, I don't mean that every time you say yes to that, it's like smooth sailing,
Yeah.
right? It's
So
just learning to stick the course.
what Kate means, in case, just because I have the visual of being a student
Yes.
before, is you actually have to, if there's a bunch of lecture, all these different
Yes.
lectures within a course, to force you to go through them in the chronologically,
Yes.
and that
Yes.
you have to complete them. And a lot of them have like a little learning check or
Yep.
the competency check at the end, and you have to be able to like pass that to move on, which
Yeah.
I actually really appreciated. I
Thank you.
really appreciate that a lot.
Not everyone did when we first made
But
the
also,
change,
you
but
can like, if there were pieces of the course that I already like anatomy and kinesiology,
yeah,
that stuff, like I know it in my sleep, so I
of
can like,
course.
and like you can even watch the videos fast, but then there's
Yeah.
other ones where I'm like, slow down, read slowly,
Yes.
reread, rewind, go slow, take notes,
Yes.
but so it just, yeah. But my point is, even though you had to, you made that change and had some resistance and had to
Yeah.
force people to go through, it's still like you can still kind of push through the
Yeah, you can still do it. And like there was things about it. There are certain sections that like maybe could have been done out of order, but the program doesn't allow us to pick like
I
this
know.
module to do whenever you want. It's all or nothing. And
I know.
so we made that choice.
Yes.
And but that was a time, an example that we made a change that felt right. Wasn't that we didn't get pushback, but we knew that staying the course was the way to
Yeah.
help people in
So
the long
I'm on
run.
I'm on the same platform. I'm on the
Oh,
same
okay.
platform, and I don't have that forced lecture
Yeah.
completed.
Yeah.
And like someone will ask me something, and I'm like, "Well,
You didn't watch it.
you obviously like didn't do that part."
Right. And that's that's what we were facing all the time. And it was like, we have to make sure that people are, if
Mhm.
they're going to get the certificate from us, that they can register with Yoga Alliance. Like we need to make sure that they know how to do this and lead people safely through things. So
100%. Yeah. So, um, okay. So anything else about any other advice for people that feel stuck, feel like making change is hard, are
yeah,
indecisive? Like I think a lot of it, a lot of paralysis mode just comes
totally.
from fear, um,
Yep.
and indecision.
Hmm.
Any other thoughts
I
before
do.
we try to
Yeah.
get a
So
confession
kind
out of you?
of my final thought on it would be, so I forget where I heard this or over time have learned this, is that choosing to stay in something that doesn't feel right or choosing to not make a decision is still a decision. You're
Ooh.
still choosing, but you're choosing like it maybe feels slightly more comfortable because it's the discomfort that you know.
Mhm.
But when you ultimately boil it down, if you're feeling like something isn't right, really what you're saying is, I'm going to choose to stay here in this thing that I know 100% doesn't feel right. And I'm just going to roll with it. I'm just going to be kind of miserable or mediocre or whatever.
Mhm.
Or I could take a risk and make a choice. There's a chance it might not go the way that it might not be better, possibly, or it might be so much better. And for me, it comes down to like, there's only one way then for things to actually get better, and that's to choose to try, right? Because if you choose to stay, then you're 100% not going to unlock the joy that could be there. And I have also found I have never talked to someone that was like, oh, I took a risk that felt right. And, it was so much better like when I was just like comfortable and like the fear, like no one, I've never talked to someone that's like, oh, that was a bad thing that I like chose to follow my heart or chose to follow my gut.
That's
They
right.
might have had to change and pivot along the way. It might not be exactly what you imagined, but I've never ever heard of someone like choosing something that felt like the right step forward and then being like, oh, I should have just stayed like status quo.
Honestly, even if it fails, like
Totally.
even if it doesn't work out, there's
Yes.
still like
There's
I
a
followed
lesson that
my
you're
heart.
meant to like
Yeah.
learn along the way. So I think that's the big thing is like choosing to stay is still a decision. And I think that that's the biggest piece to understand.
Yeah. Well, I would love to hear a little confession out of you, and then I have something exciting to tell the listeners.
Oh,
Very
okay.
exciting. Okay.
So I was trying to think, knowing that this is going to be a two-part. My first one, confession.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is like my more embarrassing one as just like a group fitness instructor. It's probably the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me. I was teaching a yoga class at our old studios and there was like this, imagine just like an outlet bar, like to plug stuff in, like but with an open pipe on a brick wall. It was like very rustic kind of vibe of like the studio. And I like went to be like, okay, everybody, like we were standing up, like sit down into a wide squat. And as I did it, I caught my pants on the outlet and in my like tight yoga pants, just like ripped them straight up the back. And I was in front of a room of like 30 people. And I was like, my butt is like out. Like this is like really bad. Like I like big hole in my pants. It was definitely the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me in a group fitness setting. It was horrible.
Hey, that is like literally definitely top five. Top
Okay.
five of
Confessions.
episode 75. You are in the top five right there, girl.
Yes.
That is
Owning it. It was
good.
bad.
I don't know if I ever told the audience this story or not. I might have, but and it's not as embarrassing as that. Not, it's not. That's worse. But once I did take my cycle shoe out of my gym bag, and it had, back then they don't anymore,
Yeah.
it had Velcro, and
Okay.
there was like a little tiny string thong underwear attached to my shoe,
Your shoe.
the Velcro.
That's
Yeah, I'm like,
embarrassing too, though. You're like, and here's my
well, at
underwear.
least it was just cloth, not my
Yeah.
actual
Yeah.
pass.
Yeah. Mine, it was, and I was like, what do I do? Like, and I was like, I just ripped my pants, everybody. And I like,
And
Mission
what did
Impossible style. I just like stayed against the wall until I could get by the door and then like called out. I was like, can someone bring me a sweatshirt to like tie around my
oh,
waist?
oh
So
my
that would be my confession on that.
I don't know how you're going to top that one in the next episode, but good luck.
Probably,
Um,
yeah. I don't have another one more embarrassing one, but
um, I have a question. Back
yeah.
to something you said. It's a little personal, so you can tell me that it's none of my business. But
Yeah.
how did your lung collapse?
Yeah. They don't know. It was literally, I was like a healthy 22-year-old. Some of it they say like I'm 5'8" and like
You are?
I am. Yeah, I know people don't.
Gosh,
Yeah, I'm on
I.
the taller side. People
Oh
don't
my gosh.
expect that.
What do you think? Do you think I'm tall?
I would. Are you like five
I'm
seven?
not. I'm
No,
little.
get
People think
out.
people
That's so
think it's
funny.
like the number one thing because I meet people too that think they
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and it's like the number one thing that comes out of their mouth is like, "Oh my gosh, I thought you were tall." I'm
I'm
like,
like,
not, but I
that's
thought you
so
were little.
funny. Sure, no, and
So
that's the other thing. People walk in and they're like, "Oh, you're tall." I mean, 5'8" is not. I'm not like I'm not like 5'10", like super tall,
right,
but
right,
that's 5'8" is
on
like
the
pretty
taller
tall for
side.
women. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like people walk in and definitely expect me to be like 5'4" or something. And I'm taller, I would say, than like most of my female students. And
Yeah.
so when people walk in, they definitely expect me to be taller. Um, oh yeah, but related to that, I guess like there is a typical like body type that like can have a spontaneous lung collapse.
Oh,
Mine
yeah.
sort of fits that.
Oh,
But they don't really know. It was just like a weird
so did you
freak
just feel like
thing.
you couldn't breathe? Like, did you feel like
I
you
actually,
gasped?
yeah, I had it. So I thought it first, I mean, I know the moment it
Can you
happened. I thought
hear?
I pulled a
Sorry,
muscle.
wait, time out. Can you?
Yeah,
Is it loud there? Can you hear
I
my
can, no, you're
landscape
totally good.
maintenance guy?
Nope,
Okay.
nope,
Oh
you
my
sound great.
gosh. Phew. Okay, carry on. So you felt like
I
what?
thought I pulled a muscle in my back. I was waitressing, a waitress in New York at the time, and I thought I pulled a muscle in my back. I worked a double shift the day before Thanksgiving,
Mhm.
stretching my back. And by the end of my shift, I was like, oh, I'm getting sick. I feel like I have bronchitis. Like I kept saying, like, oh, my chest hurts. But
Oh,
then I like went home in New York City Thanksgiving, Black Friday, or not Black Friday, day before Thanksgiving, like traffic,
yeah.
rush hour, took the bus home to see my parents. And the next morning on Thanksgiving Day, my mom was like, you sound terrible. Like, I think we need to go to the emergency room. And thank God we did because I was such a healthy young person. I don't know that if I'd gone to a doctor, that they would have done a chest x-ray. They probably would have been like, oh, she has
Yeah.
bronchitis.
Yeah.
But because I was in the ER, they did a chest x-ray. And yeah, it was like a 30% collapse. I had like emergency surgery, like right in the
Dang.
ER. It was crazy.
How
But
do they reinflate it? Is
yeah, there's like a surgery called like a chest tube where they like, I
uh-huh.
mean, it's kind of gross, but they like slice everything to get into your lung. Mine was that what they think happened is that it's not 100% like air pockets on the outside of my lung. Somehow I had too much air in my lung cavity and then my lung couldn't expand. So they had to like extract all that air in order for my lung to reinflate. It wasn't, I have had two kids. That was more painful than childbirth for me. I'll be totally honest. It was like, it was rough. But I've been healthy since. So, and thank God for yoga. It keeps me breathing.
No, seriously, really, truly.
Yeah.
Um,
So
what was I gonna say? Oh,
crazy.
I know I want to tell you something. You probably already know.
Yeah.
Well, you probably don't know some of this. Part of it is my program, my yoga
Mhm.
inspired program, and I say yoga inspired because it's like an 8 hour course. Like
Yeah.
it's not 200 hours, and
Yeah. But there's all
it's
those, yes,
yeah,
elements of
it's
yoga.
yeah. So really, I mean, my uh like uh target demographic for our program Warrior Rhythm is
Yeah.
people that wish they loved yoga, but if they're honest with themselves, they don't.
Yeah. I love that.
Like it's a huge niche and for so many
Yeah.
people, and I'm one of them. Yoga was an acquired taste. It wasn't
Totally.
like, people are different. Like some people,
Yeah,
like when I took my first cycle class, like day one, I was like, I love this. But other
totally.
people, they're like, oh, I hate it. But like 3 months
Yeah.
later, and they find the right instructor, they're finally like,
Yep.
okay, it's tolerable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Eventually
It's
they
different
like it.
personalities,
It's
right? So you
all
connect with
different,
different things.
all different. So one of the things that I encourage strongly in all my courses is continuing
Yeah.
education, primary certification, all
Yeah.
that stuff. But specific to Warrior Rhythm, which was our first course
Yeah.
and therefore our biggest instructor base,
Yeah.
um, I encourage them in our training to consider, as they endeavor to get continuing
Yeah.
education, to consider doing a 200 hour. And
Oh.
many of our instructors have gone through Yoga Renew. In fact,
Oh.
learned about them having all these like little mini chat threads,
I love
little
that.
chat threads where they're
Oh
doing
my
the homework
goodness.
together and all that stuff. So
Thank you.
I reached out. You kind of know this part of the story, but
Yeah.
if the audience doesn't,
Yeah.
I'm going to drop a bomb, especially for the listeners that are warrior instructors. Because they don't know. I haven't even told them yet. So I was like, I love Yoga Renew. I've always loved it. I've had such positive experiences with it.
Thank you.
And we have collaborations with like the American Council on Exercise and these other kind of
Yep.
learning. We also are a CEC provider for Yoga Alliance
Hmm.
as well. And so I was like, this would be such a reciprocal relationship
Yeah.
if because I'm already encouraging my instructors to further their education.
Yeah.
Why not kind of partner with Yoga Renew? So I literally went online one night, and I completed this like contact us form, and I reached
Yeah.
out. And Nick, your business
Yep.
partner,
Yep. My
he was
business
like
partner.
late at night because I'm on the West Coast. So
Yeah.
late at night, he's walking through New York City, taking a phone call on his cell phone, talking to me. And thank goodness he actually knew who I was because I think he'd seen me kind of performing at
Yes.
Dia
Yep.
or something like
Yep.
that. So anyway, I was like, hey, could we maybe collaborate? So my big bomb drop for the warrior community is that the warrior rhythm instructors, and I'm not going to say what it is right now because it's not for everyone. It's a gift and a benefit for
Yeah.
our instructors if they want to continue their yoga education to really bolster their practice with warrior rhythm and all things like
Yeah.
learning yoga makes you better at weightlifting, makes you
Yeah.
better at every modality there is. And
Yep. Golfing. Like my husband golfs and it's like helped him
yes,
tremendously.
for real. So we have an incredible discount that I am putting in our instructor membership
Yay.
portal for our currently current instructors. So
I
I'm
love that.
so excited about the partnership.
We're excited too.
Yay. I'm so excited.
So good.
Before we sign off on this episode,
Yes.
please let everyone know where they can find you, like you're
Yes.
personally on Instagram, Yoga Renew, what's the
Yep.
website, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
So our Yoga Renew website, it's yogarenew.com. And then that'll let you choose our studio or our online programs from there. And our Instagram handle is at Yoga Renew.
Mhm.
And my personal one is at Kate.Lombardo. So pretty,
Not
pretty
not
straightforward.
not Caitlin Bart.
No, not Kate Lombardo. Kate.Lombardo.
Okay, well, we are going to sign off for now, but
Yes.
teaser, we're about to talk money.
Yes.
And also, I want to learn more from Kate about how she got into yoga. And I want to hear like what is maybe her favorite style. So tune
Ooh,
in to
fun.
next week too. Thanks everybody for listening.
Thank you. See you
Kate,
next week.
thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you.